I have a story for you, a very, very old English folk tale from a time when all the people who knew what was good for them would gather together on the hilltops at certain times of year to celebrate nature. But it wasn't just the people. They'd gather with animals, hobs, boggarts, and even fairies. They'd join up on the tops of the hills, they'd light great fires, they'd play drums, and they would dance. And they would sing. And as they danced and as they sang, their hearts would beat. In unison. That loving heartbeat that signifies love and kindness and joy. Now there was one man who would always come along to the celebrations. But as time went on, he came fewer and fewer and fewer, until eventually he stopped coming altogether. Some people often saw him down in the village, and they noticed a change in him. No longer did they hear that loving, kind, caring drum of his heartbeat. They noticed it had been replaced with a clinking of gold. Some said he didn't come up to the celebrations anymore because he was too busy working, making money hidden away. And then on the night of the autumn equinox, the sky was orange. There was a great fire. The people, the hobs, the boggarts, the animals and the fairies had all come together. There was a great fire and they were singing and dancing. And from down on the hillside, they all heard a noise. It was the miser. The fairies were the first to see him. They ran on over as quickly as they could. They said to him, "Come and join the party. We're seeing in the harvest and celebrating nature." He said, "Party? I haven't got any time for that. I'm busy working." They said, "Well, could you possibly spare us a gold coin? Help us with our autumn equinox feast?" "Pfft," he said, "I haven't got any gold for you. Not a chance. Not at all. Not a single coin." And with that, he walked on off. Now the fairies saw his pockets were bulging with gold coins. So carefully they flew on over and they tried to unstitch the pockets in the hope that some gold would fall out. But it was too tight and not a single piece of gold made its way out of his pocket. And he went on his merry way. And the autumn months passed by without any hassle. Hardly anybody saw him. He was still cooped up, making money. And it was at the night of the winter solstice when all the people and the animals and the hobs and the boggarts and the fairies were out on the hilltop again. It had come dark early. The moon was bright, the stars were twinkling, they had a great fire, they were singing and dancing and enjoying a great feast, celebrating the return of the sun. And from up the hill, they heard it again. It was the clinking of the miser. Some said his gold, some said his heart. As he got closer, the fairies were the first to see him. They all flew on over. They said to him, "Come and join our winter solstice feast," he said. "Not a chance. I haven't got time for that. I'm too busy working." They said, "Well, could you possibly spare us a coin for our feast? We'll take care of you. We'll make sure no mischief happens to you in the winter months." He looked at them. He said, "Not a chance. Not at all. Not a single coin." And with that, he walked off. Now, this time, the fairies noticed that he no longer had gold in his pockets. He got way too much for that. Instead, he had a purse that was strapped to his belt. As quick as they could, they went on over there and they tried to unpick the stitching on the purse. but it was too tight. They couldn't unpick it, and they didn't get a single gold coin. And for that, he carried on his way. And the winter months passed, and soon it was spring again. Nobody had seen the miser. He had been packed away, working hard. But on the night of the spring equinox, the people, the animals, the hobs, the boggarts, the fairies, they were all getting together. They were celebrating the lighter days when, coming up the hill, they heard the sound. It was the miser. This time he was carrying a great big sack. As he got closer, the fairies went over to him. They said, "Won't you join our spring equinox feast?" He said, "I haven't got time for that. I'm too busy. Gold to make." He said, "Well, can you possibly spare us a coin? Help us with our feast?" He looked at them. He said, "Not a chance. Not at all. Not a single coin." With that, he went on his way. But as he was going on his way, the fairies saw that the sack was filled with gold. They noticed it wasn't as tight as the pocket and the purse had been previously. So one of the fairies pulled out a long, sharp blackthorn. She flew on over, and with one snick, she whipped the corner of the sack off, no bigger than a mouse hole. But as she whipped it off, the gold pieces started to fall out. The miser didn't notice. He kept on walking, and as he did, the gold pieces fell out all across the field. Now the fairies saw this, and they knew that gold would twinkle under the moonlight. So as quick as they could, they pulled out their best magic spell, and they turned every single piece of gold into a flower. Now the man kept walking. It was only when he got to the end of the field and he went to climb over a stile that he realised how light his bag was. Shocked, he turned around. And when he turned around, he saw the most beautiful sight. You see, where previously the field had been filled with green grass, now it was twinkling in the moonlight with thousands and thousands of golden flowers. He looked at it. They'd not seen him smile for years, but suddenly a great big smile came on his face. And then the fairies heard something. His heart began to beat again with joy and love and kindness. One fairy said to the other, "But how?" And the other fairy replied, "Just remember that a love for nature is worth its weight in gold." And as they all left, the moonlight illuminated the whole field. And the field was filled with beautiful golden flowers. And ever since that day, the meadows and the hillsides in the springtime are filled with those golden flowers. Today we call them buttercups, and they're a reminder to each and every one of us that spending time in nature really is worth its weight